Okay. Now you guys should be able to hear me. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up or something.
I'm testing on my end here.
Okay. Chapter 10 should have been easy. Way easier than this today. Should have been easy. So I've got to show this off because it's just so amazing. So this is one of our very talented students in the class made these, and I'm going to be selling them on my website. I'm going to order a whole bunch and sell them on the website. We have black with iridescent, and we're going to have the white with iridescent. Other colors may be coming in the future. We'll see how these do. But if you guys that are joining us virtually, if you want to help support our mission to provide high quality CNA training from anywhere, if you want to support us, please go to our website, or it's not up there yet. don't rush. Give me till next week, but these will be available for purchase, and it will help support what we do here. But thank you so much. That was amazing. Yeah, you did a fantastic job. All right. So you guys had chapter 10, which is all on employability. And we're going to talk a lot about that today because finding a job in healthcare is a little different than finding a job in other industries. So we kind of have to talk about the differences, where to go to find a job, how to ace the interview, and how to get jobs in settings that aren't. Nope. Fire, yeah. There you go. How to get a job like at a hospital. Hospitals are really hard to get into. Those of you who want to go into work in a hospital, it is about a 6-week process. That's from the time you get an interview. It's about a 6-week process. Getting to an interview can take months. So we have to talk a little bit about that whole process, what's happening on the back end, and how to improve your chances of actually getting that interview, because it's not quite as easy as it is in other industries. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about renewal requirements, continuing education, those types of topics as well. So let me go ahead and get your scores for chapter 10 before we move on. Sheila. Thank you. Jaden. Ariana. Audrey. Ethan.
100.
Do you have chapter 9 for me, Ethan?
Yes, 90.
Thank you. Ashley? Can I get 8 and 9 from you? Thank you. Emily? Mercedes? Martina? Thank you. Susie? Amanda? Brittany? Madison? Madison, do you have any 8 and 9? Thank you. Rain?
I have about 100.
Very good. And do you have 7?
No, ma'am, I don't.
That's okay. Let's see here. Olivia. Thank you. All right. Any questions on anything we've gone over so far? Any questions on anything? No? Okay. Jake, go ahead. One more. Okay. Last class. How many of you guys have registered for the test?
I started.
Okay. All right. Some of you are probably waiting on paychecks or, other things. Don't put it off too long, because the longer you put it off, you're not going to have me here to give you that confidence boost. You're not going to have me to kind of push you to register for the test. So if you have not registered, please don't let it get away from you, because the further out you get, the less confident you'll be. Believe it or not, this is the most confident you're going to be. So a lot of you will think, well, I'm just going to practice for a couple of weeks first, and then I'll be more confident. No, this is the most confident that you will be. If you register for the test now,
that will force you to practice because you know the test is right around the corner. Otherwise, things will get in the way. Life just has a way of doing that. So please make sure that you're registering for that test.
So are you saying that we cannot wait a last minute to register? We must register right now so we can remember what the stuff we know.
Right. Correct.
So
Correct.
you lose your knowledge.
Right. Remember, the test registration process takes about 3 to 4 weeks. So if you registered during the second week of the program, you should be testing about a week or 2 after graduation, which is perfect timing.
I already got my email, so they're gonna.
Oh,
Your
good.
test date?
Not yet. I
Okay.
already got the. I'm
That
ready
you're
to go.
approved?
I'm waiting for them to give me the test.
Oh, any day now. You'll
I'm
get to
like,
take, yeah.
Oh my goodness, already? I thought we were gonna wait.
So you
But yeah, I got it.
You
Monday.
got yours too? Oh. Oh, good. Very good. Very good. So this means that the clock is ticking. You're going to need to practice. Okay. The review sheets will help you, review kind of those important principles. But practice really is going to be your best friend. Okay. Our students generally do very well on the test. In fact, it's pretty common for the evaluators to tell our students, I know where you went. So because the way I teach is so distinctive, it's different from what else is out there. So our students do so well on the test that the evaluators can usually kind of pick you guys out. Okay. Remember, you know what you need to know. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to keep the patient safe and well cared for. And if you can remember that the test is all about the patient, you'll do great on the test. Good, good. I saw a thing this morning in one of the Facebook groups that just made me really it got me a little bit upset. It's this guy in a elevator of a hospital, and he's got an IV pole. And there's a nurse standing at the door of the elevator, holding the door open. And he's saying, I want to go outside for a cigarette. Where do I go? And she's like, it's non-smoking. You can't smoke here. And this guy had been, I guess, pretty badly injured in some sort of a stabbing of some sort, right? So he's got some injuries, but he's still up and ambulatory and everything. Well, we all have our coping mechanisms. We all have our stress relievers that we kind of run to when things aren't going well. Is that a fair statement? Right? And for some people, it's tobacco, it's a cigarette. And I understand, this is a very stressful time in his life. And he's looking to self-soothe in the way that he, is, most comfortable with. And the nurse is standing there saying, you can't smoke and really not really doing anything to de-escalate the situation. Well, in the meantime, other staff members start inserting themselves in this situation. And by the end of the video, there were about 9 healthcare workers all standing there. And I wasn't involved in the situation, but I would have felt vaguely threatened by this show of force, right? This thing could have been de-escalated so much easier. Instead of de-escalating, they escalated it. And, this isn't going to have a good outcome if you've got somebody who was just attacked that is now feeling threatened, and I think that as healthcare workers, we really do have to remember that these patients are human. And I think sometimes we forget that. We start to concentrate on us and our role and our facility and our team. And, safety is important. Absolutely. The staff safety is important. Absolutely. But by escalating the situation, I don't think we did anything to ensure staff safety. If somebody had just, with a very soft demeanor, said, hey, listen, I understand, smoking is your coping mechanism. I get it. And you're under a lot of stress right now. I understand that too. But here we have a no smoking policy on the campus. I can't let you have a cigarette because of the policy. I don't write the policies, I can't really do anything about that. But let me see what we can do to maybe help you find a different way of coping. Maybe a nicotine patch, or let me see how much longer you're going to have to be here, give you an approximate timeline, or address the need that the patient is experiencing instead of just blindly telling them no, no, no. When you tell an adult no, chances are they're going to want to do that thing way more. That's human nature. And now we've caused additional stress. And what is his coping mechanism for stress? To smoke. So did we address that need at all? And I think that this was a really good learning opportunity for all of us to remember that you're not going to be able to de-escalate every time. I get it. People are stubborn, right? We can't let this guy go out and smoke. It's a no smoking campus. I understand that. Rules are rules. And I'm a rule follower, so I get it. But I think that by having a show of force at the very beginning, you're just agitating a situation that's not going to end well for anybody. And their answer was, well, you can always sign out AMA, which is against medical advice. That means that their insurance is not going to cover this hospital stay. So you're giving them a multi-$1,000 bill for a cigarette because they don't want to do what we tell them to do. To me, that's a power play. Does that make sense? So when you're interacting with people, I know it's not always easy. It really isn't. And there's times that I make the wrong decision all the time. But if we can just remember that this is a human, and if we can get past the why he's in the elevator trying to go out and get to the why he's in the elevator trying to go out, I think that we can relate to each other on a human level a little bit better. Does that make sense? We've got to find a way of restoring the humanity back into healthcare. And it's going to start with you guys because you're the ones at the bedside the most. You're the ones talking to the patient the most. You're the ones interacting with them. So I think that this is a good lesson for all of us, especially on graduation day, when I'm getting ready to release you out into the wild, right? This is where you're really going to meet difficult patients. And I think the way that we relate to them is going to impact their perception of the healthcare they received. And this is a good opportunity for me to go over this with you. How many, do not say names, please. Do not say names, but how many of you have a hospital that you will never recommend to another person? How many of you guys have? Yep. All right. So let's talk about that for just a second, right? So you have we'll just call it hospital ABC, okay? You have a hospital that you absolutely refuse to go to. You won't tell anybody else to go there. You have a very bad opinion of that place in your head. Fair? Okay. So let's look at what caused that. Was it the parking situation? Was it the color of the building? Was it the outside landscaping? Was it the color of the hallways? Was it, now the food might have impacted it, maybe a little bit, right? But what was it, vague, please, no names, but what was it that caused you to have an unfavorable opinion of that facility? What was it? The care that was provided by the workers. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. It wasn't the hospital. It was the workers at the hospital. Everybody with me? Okay, there's two things about that. Number one is it wasn't every single worker at that hospital. It was probably one, maybe two. So those people, those few people, caused you to write off an entire campus. I want you to think about that. The interactions that you had with a handful of people caused you to have an unfavorable opinion of an entire place. Chances are those people aren't even there anymore because healthcare is transient. We go where they're going to pay us more. So those people that you had a bad experience with probably aren't even there anymore, but that's neither here nor there. But we have to understand that this works the other way as well. If you are the worker and you treat the patient unfavorably, that patient is going to judge the entire facility on you. It's a lot of power, guys. That is a lot of power. And we have to keep that in mind. Facilities are judged based on patient interactions with the staff. Who is the patient going to interact the most with? The CNAs. So in a very big way, you are holding the reputation of your facility with every interaction you have. We don't really stop to think about it that way, but it's true. Does that make sense? There is a facility in our geographic area that I will not go to. I will not. Now, knowing everything I just told you, I will not, because the culture of the facility allows that kind of behavior.
It's a revolving door. I've been there multiple times with kind of the same scenario because they just hired whoever.
Yep, the culture of the facility. So you have to be a little bit picky yourselves. And this is going to play into what we're going to talk about today. You want to work at a place that's going to support you. You're going to support the facility. It should be equal, right? You're going to protect their reputation. They're going to support you as their employee. It's a two-way street. If either one of those is not working, the facility is going to lose. Okay? So we have to hold up our end, but we also want to make sure that they're holding up theirs. And we're going to get into that when we get into interviewing in just a few minutes. Good? Good. All right. So if you have not registered for the test, now is a good time. Go ahead. So let's talk about renewal. Once you get your certification, there's going to be steps you have to take to renew that certification to keep it active. I got an email earlier this week, somebody that took my class back in 2019 or 2020, I can't remember which, and was upset because they didn't renew their certification and now it's expired. And what do they have to do? Well, they have to retest. And I go over this on graduation day, every single class. If you took my class back in 2006, I went over this because it's not enough to just get your certification. You have to be able to keep it. Otherwise, you got to do this all over again. Okay, so this is one lesson you do not want to sleep through. You definitely want to pay attention here. Because if you come to me in 5 years and go, well, why did I expire? I'm going to point right back to this class. And I'm going to say, you didn't listen. There's responsibilities that go with your certification. And that's what we're going to go over now. So everything that we're going to talk about is on page 171 of your book. I am going to show you a video, but it's a big but here. This video is on this is the next video that I'm going to be redoing. Because it's not accurate anymore. This all changed this year. They do not mail you a blue card anymore. You don't get a physical certification card in the mail anymore. Everything is electronic now. So the video I'm going to show you is going to talk to you about that blue card. Please remember that we don't get blue cards anymore. The rest of it is fine. That's why I'm going to show it to you. The rest of the video is fine, but we don't get blue cards in the mail anymore. Okay, it's all electronic. So everything that is involved in renewal is going to be located on page 171, so you don't have to take notes. And this video that I'm about to show you is on my website. Jake, go ahead. Okay, how much is renewal for the certificate? Victoria, it depends on what state you're in. Renewal requirements are different across every single state. In Florida, renewal right now is $55. Okay. So on my main website, 4YourCNA.com, along the top, I don't know if you've been to my main website. Along the top here, we have CNA training. That's where our skills videos are going to be found. Practice test is there. The link to the live stream is there. So training is all about training. Testing is all about testing. And then we have after certification, and that's where your renewal is going to be, after certification. So right here is CNA renewal instructions, and you can go to that page. It brings up this video that we're about to watch. Like I said, I will be redoing this video very, very shortly in the next couple of weeks. And it will be in the same place. I will just change the video link out. Go ahead. All right, so this is the blue card that you're going to see in the video. Please remember, we don't get these any longer. So Jacob, go ahead and play renewal video. How to renew your Florida CNA certification, a guide for Florida CNAs. Brought to you by 4YourCNA.com. After you pass your state exam, you will receive your certification card in the mail. This card gives you valuable information. Take a moment to look it over. Check your name and address to make sure they are correct. Make a note of your CNA certification number. You will need this for employment and in-service credit. Your certification also comes with a convenient wallet card. Sign this and keep it in your wallet for handy proof of certification. But one of the most important things you need to pay attention to is the expiration date. It will be located near the top of the blue card in the grid. In Florida, CNAs are divided into two groups, odd year group and even year group. Everyone in the even year group will renew their certifications in even years, such as 2018, 2020, 2022, and so on. Everyone in the odd year group will renew their certifications in odd years, such as 2017, 2019, etc. When you become certified, you will join one of these groups. But which group you end up in has nothing to do with when you test. You will be assigned a group when you receive your first certification, and you will remain in that group even if you allow your certification to lapse and you retest later in life. So how do you know when you will have to renew? It's easy. Check your expiration date. Every certification will expire on May 31st, either in an odd year or an even year. You need to know which group you are in. This is Jenny. Jenny became a CNA in 2017. She was placed into the even year group, so her expiration date will be in even years. She is joining a group already in progress, so her expiration date will be the same as theirs, regardless of when she became certified. Everyone in this group has the same expiration date. So, do I have to take the test again? No. As long as you meet all the requirements and renew on time, you will never have to take the state boards again. In order to renew your CNA certification in Florida, you must meet two requirements and pay a small fee. You must work at least once as a CNA for pay in this renewal cycle. You must complete the required number of in-service hours and pay the renewal fee. We will look at each of these in more detail in the following section. In Florida, every CNA is required to perform nursing-related services for monetary compensation within the renewal period in order to renew their certification. That means they have to get paid to do CNA skills. This rule is in effect to ensure that CNAs are using their skills so that they do not forget what they have learned. But there are no specific amount of hours that are required. But be careful. If you are not currently working in healthcare as a CNA, you may not be able to renew. But there is a way. Follow me to see Jim's story. This is Jim. Jim became certified as a CNA in 2016. Jim planned on going to work in the local hospital after he became certified. But Jim's uncle needed help at his bank and hired Jim. Jim likes his new job at the bank and he's doing very well there. He doesn't want to leave the bank, but he wants to keep his CNA certification active. He worked hard to get it. One of Jim's bank customers, a supervisor at the local home health agency, mentioned that they were looking for weekend CNAs to care for some of their new clients. Jim immediately filled out an application. He was hired and now works only one Saturday a month. Jim kept his regular job at the bank, but still met the requirements for renewal. Jim will keep one of his pay stubs for proof of the work requirement. Now let's look at the second requirement, in-services. In Florida, continuing education courses for CNAs are called in-services. You must complete a certain amount of continuing education every renewal period in order to renew your certification. You must complete continuing education in-services in certain topics every renewal period. These will include bloodborne pathogens and infection control, domestic violence, medical record documentation, resident rights, communication with cognitively impaired individuals, CPR skills, and medical error prevention and safety. So remember your expiration date on your certification. You need to compute how many months you will have that certification to determine how many hours you need. You will need 1 hour of in-service for every month that you are certified. First, locate the date that your certification was issued. Then locate your expiration date. Count the number of months that you will have your certification in this certification period. So if this certification issue date was January 1st, 2017, and the expiration date is May 31st, 2018, there are 17 months of certification. This certification will be valid for 17 months before renewal. So this certification will require 17 hours of in-services for renewal. Once you have done your required topics, the remainder of the hours can be in a topic you choose. Choose topics that relate to your work environment or an environment that you want to work in. The topics you choose are entirely up to you, and the choices are endless. In-services can even help you if you want to change jobs. How? I'm glad you asked. Let's say that you currently work in a dementia unit. But then your friend tells you about a job opening at a local hospital. You've never worked in a mother-baby unit, but you really want this job. You can complete in-service topics related to this new opportunity to show motivation. This shows that although you lack experience, you are willing to learn. Supervisors like that. Now that you know how many in-service hours you need for renewal and what the required topics are, you need to find out how to get them. Most workplaces require an orientation session for new employees. Some employers will give you in-service credit for completing these modules during orientation. In-services can be awarded for watching videos, classroom instruction, formal group discussions, or even self-study at home. This is a great interview question. Do you offer in-service training hours? In-services can also be awarded for topics discussed in monthly workplace meetings. Sometimes hospitals and other community agencies will host continuing education opportunities. These are often advertised online or in community newspapers or bulletins. But for many CNAs, the easiest way to get your required in-services is online. There are many online in-service providers. Each is structured a bit differently, but most have some sort of free trial. Simply search for CNA In-Services Florida in your favorite search engine. If you are unsure if the provider you want to use is recognized by the Board of Nursing as an approved provider, you can check them out on CE Broker. Go to cebroker.com. Under Course Search, select your state and your profession, and then click the Begin Search bar. Now click the Providers tab to access a list of approved providers. You can also search for courses right on this website. So far, we've learned how to work at least once as a CNA for pay this renewal cycle, and we've learned how to complete the required number of in-service hours. So all that's left is to renew and pay the fee. The bottom of your certification card contains the information you will need to renew. Your specific renewal instructions are printed here. Once you access the website listed on your certification card, flhealthsource.gov, click on Renew a License. After logging in, follow the prompts, check off the requirements, and pay the fee. Renewal can take less than 15 minutes to complete as long as all of your requirements are met. You will sign in with your username and password on your certification card. You do not have to send anything to the Board of Nursing to prove that you've met the requirements. You only need to send proof, which would consist of a pay stub and in-service certificates, if the Board of Nursing requests them from you. You must keep your proof for at least 4 years after renewing. Never, ever lie on your renewal. The Board of Nursing does periodic audits. The penalties for lying on your renewal are severe. Make sure you've met all the requirements before completing your renewal. You now have all the knowledge you need to renew your CNA certification in Florida. Remember to look at your new certification card for your next expiration date. Until then, happy caregiving. All right. So Victoria has a question. Can international students obtain the test? And the answer is no. So you have to, if you're an international, you're going to have to comply with your country's rules and laws and all of that. To test in America, you would have to immigrate. You're going to have a social security number. You have to meet the testing requirements. So in every other state, you actually have to take a state approved program. In Florida, you can challenge, but there's a lot of, you have to be here to do that because there's 2 parts to the test. So international students, it would require a complete commitment to coming to America. All right, go ahead, Jake. So remember that we don't get the blue card anymore. So go back for me, please. So you're not going to get your username and password. You will get an email that gives you a link to the website to renew, along with information. But when you go into that website, they're going to ask for personal information to identify that you are you. And this is one of the reasons that they have to gather the information on your application for the test. Sure. Can someone help you renew your certificate on their phone when you need help from them? You can certainly call the CNA registry of your state, but it should be pretty self-explanatory. The process isn't too terribly difficult. But yes, you can contact the CNA registry of your state. Good morning. Do you do one-on-one courses? No, April, I don't. We do certainly live stream our classroom. You can ask questions during the live stream, but I do not do one-on-one tutoring. No. Okay. Thank you. All right. So the process isn't hard. Now, every state's going to be a little bit different. So if you decide that you want to move to another state, their renewal process is going to be different. There are some states that you don't renew at all. As long as you are working for a nursing home in that state, they renew for you. It doesn't cost you a penny. They keep up with all of that. But if you aren't working for a nursing home, they're not going to renew you. So it pays to know the requirements of your specific state. Florida puts all of this in your hands, which I believe is a much better way of doing it. It is your certification. I don't like, if it's something that I've earned, I don't like handing it off to somebody else to manage, because how can you know it's actually being done properly? So every state's a little bit different. So go ahead, Jake. Speaking of other states, if you decide you want to move to another state, you would want to contact the Board of Nursing in that state, specifically the CNA registry, and ask what their requirements are. Every state's a little bit different in how they handle this. If you want to move to New York, all you have to do is call up New York, say, hey, I'm a Florida CNA. I want to be a New York CNA. And they say, cool, do our background check, pay us a fee, and we'll give you a certification here too. It's not, it doesn't supersede. It's not in exchange for. So you can hold a CNA certification in Florida and New York and Kansas and Illinois and Arizona. I mean, you can do as many as you want. Remember, they all have different renewal requirements. So you'll have to keep that in mind. But you can contact any of those, tell them you are a Florida CNA, and find out what the requirements are to become a CNA in their state. Some states are like, cool, no problem. Here's a certification. Other states are like, not so fast. We want you to take our test. And then other states are like, no, we don't trust any other states' training programs. We want you to make sure that you're trained the way our state wants things done. So you have to go through a training program. You would want to know this before you decide to move to a place. So do your research first. Don't just decide tomorrow you want to move to Tennessee and pack up and move on Saturday thinking you're going to find a job there as a CNA. It doesn't work like that. Okay? But I've given you all of, on page 172 and 173, all of the contact information for the CNA registries for every state. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, back. Finding a job. All right, so let's get to the nitty gritty. You've taken this course, you've passed it, congratulations. You're getting ready for the test and you will pass that, congratulations. And now you're ready to start looking for a job. Normally, if you're looking for a job, the first thing you're probably going to do is go onto an online jobs board on your phone and just flip through and try to see what's out there, right? That's the easiest way. We can do that from the couch in our house. It's easy. It's not accurate, especially for healthcare. And I'm going to explain why in just a minute. But I've got a whole lesson on this on page 174. And it's important to understand why healthcare is different than other industries. Go ahead. So there's a lot of different places that CNAs can work. And I always kind of default to, remember, we're nursing assistants. We assist the nurse. So anywhere there's a nurse, there might be a CNA opening. You never know. So you have to think about all the places that nurses can work, right? We have the obvious hospitals and nursing homes. We have assisted living, mental health, walk-in clinics, rehabs, hospice, home care. We've got a lot of different places to work, but there's also some things that you may not have considered. Things like blood banks, dialysis, jails and prisons. There's a lot of places that CNAs can work that may not kind of fit into your traditional workplaces. So don't be afraid to think outside the box here. But we're going to focus on our normal 9, right? These are the ones that the majority of CNAs are going to find themselves working in. Working in assisted living is completely different than working in mental health. Mental health, completely different than working in hospice. Hospice, a world away from working in rehab. With hospice, our focus is on making our patient comfortable because we can't fix what's wrong with them. Rehab, our focus is fixing what's wrong with them. 2 completely different focus. Make sense? So you've got to figure out, right? You don't want to just throw a dart at a board and say, okay, that's where I'm going to work. This is where that workplace personality quiz that we talked about is going to come into play. Take the quiz, let it help you narrow this down to something that fits your personality and start there. Because if you don't have a target, I don't care where I work, I just want a job. First of all, you're probably not going to be successful because you're not matching your talents to the job. But second of all, there's a whole lot of options in here, and you're going to spend all of your time, applying to positions that may not really benefit you. Make sense?
So some nursing homes do have the rehabilitation and long-term care.
Right.
Those rehabilitation and nursing home, some nursing homes, so they can go home for the day or they can come back. But some people just want to stay the nursing home for long-term care and for the night.
It's not that they want to, it's what their care team has determined is best for them.
Okay.
Very few people, in fact, no people, wake up in the morning and say, I think I'm going to go check into a nursing home today. It doesn't work like that. Nursing home beds are few and far between. You have to be like the hospital. I can't call up the hospital and say, hey, I want to reserve a room. I have to prove that I'm sick enough to get that bed. Same thing with long-term care in a nursing home. You have to prove that you're sick enough to get that bed. So it's not that they want to be there, it's that they have to be there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, rehab's a little bit different. Remember, with rehab, the focus is on getting somebody better enough that they can go back home. That's the goal, is to get them out, back home. Long-term care, they're there until the end. And yes, some nursing homes have both rehab and long-term care. All right. So if you take the quiz, it'll help you narrow down to where you are most likely to thrive. Go ahead, Jake. There's the quiz. Go ahead. And then once you've got that down, now you can actually start your job search. Okay. So you really do need to do a little bit of homework here before you just go out onto one of the job boards and start looking. Go ahead. Where can you really work before you get your renewal? Well, Betty, once you're certified, you're certified. You can work anywhere as a CNA. Renewal has nothing to do with where you work, not in Florida anyway. So you can work anywhere that hires CNAs, but you have to be renewed before you expire to continue working there. Go ahead.
Victoria has some additional questions.
I'm a CNA student. I've done the state exam, which is international in our country, and I passed it. I'm waiting for the renewal by November. Okay.
I'm not really sure what the question is.
I'm working in one hospital in my country now as a volunteer. Well, very good, Victoria. Very good. Yeah, I'm not the person to ask about international law as it pertains to CNA. That's not my area of expertise. So I can't really help you much with international. Not my Definitely not my area of expertise. There's way too much law in that, and I'm not up to date with it. All right, go ahead, Jake. All right, so this is where most of us start, right? We pull up a jobs board, and there's a million of them. You probably have your favorite. There's Indeed, Snag a Job, Career Builder, Monster, LinkedIn, iHire. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. You probably have your favorite. But there's one here I want to bring to your attention. It's USA Jobs, because the ones that are on this jobs board are not going to show up anywhere else. So USA Jobs is government jobs. So the VA hires a lot of CNAs, but you're not going to see those opportunities anywhere else. You have to go on to USA Jobs for it. Federal correctional facilities hire CNAs, because when we have people that are in a federal prison and they get sick, we don't send them out to nursing homes. We treat them right there. So that means that there are patients on hospice in prison. There are patients receiving long-term care for conditions and illnesses and disabilities in the penitentiary system. We don't move them to get medical care. We bring the medical care to them. Does that make sense? Okay. So those are things that you probably didn't ever think about, right? But government jobs aren't going to be anywhere else but here. Now, the thing about the VA system that's pretty interesting is within the VA system, they allow you and they help you move from place to place. So if you're a CNA in the VA system in Florida and you want to go to Arizona, there's resources there that can help you make that transition very easily. We actually had one of our students that got into the VA system and went to Hawaii. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. There was an opening in Hawaii. She had the VA system help her get her certification there and make the transfer, and everything went well. And she kept her seniority with the VA system, which is government benefits, right? So she didn't have to start all over, which that's a nice perk.
I work as a DSP. With that, I do in-services and everything that's required by my job. If I got my CNA, would I have to like go PRN at a nursing home, or would my DSP allow me to recertify without getting another job?
That's a legal question that is really, really gray.
Okay.
Because the standard, the actual statute is perform nursing assistant services for pay. Now, remember, we've talked a little bit about what constitutes nursing assistant services. And we all think that bathing, dressing, grooming, feeding, toileting are nursing assistant services. They're not. Remember, that's just stuff a your friendly neighbor can do. That's not nursing assistant services. Knowing how to recognize emergencies, knowing how to respond to emergencies, working closely with the nurse to report abnormalities. Those are CNA services. So you have to look at, in your current job, are you performing CNA services? And could you make a case for that? Okay, does that make sense? Because it doesn't say, in Florida, they've left this wide open intentionally. It doesn't say perform CNA services in a nursing home.
Well, I do work under nurses per se. It's me and another person. We take care of 8 individuals in a household. I do changes. I have to reposition. I do have to do observations for all of those things and report said observations to the nurse.
So you probably could make a very strong, compelling case.
I do like the in-services for all the in-services that you noted. I just did those literally not too long, like the same exact in-services.
Right.
I had to do them and I had to.
So this is what we call alphabet soup. Okay, and let me kind of explain this. I'm going to have a seat because this is going to be a conversation. You're fine. But this applies to all of you. We have to go into our Wayback Machine and think about life 50 years ago. Okay, So we're going to talk about history here. Let me move over here so you can see me. Here we go. So we're going to talk about some history here. Let's go 70 years back. It's a little bit better. So 70 years ago, life was very different. Very different. 70 years ago. 70 years ago, most women didn't work. They were stay-at-home moms. Most family members that got old didn't go to a facility. They stayed with the family. And the caregiver of the home just cared for that person. So if you guys go home and ask your grandma, you know, when great grandma got old, where did she live? The majority of people will say, well, she lived at home with the family. Does that make sense? So nursing homes, there were no assisted living facilities. That was not a thing. So nursing homes took in people that didn't have family to care for them or were too ill for the family to care for. So there weren't very many nursing homes. There weren't very many people in nursing homes. Most times the family took care of it. But people didn't live as long as they do now. Make sense? Okay, it actually was, you know, the life expectancy was like late 70s or late 60s, early 70s. You'd have a few outliers, but, you know, people didn't stick around too long. Now, let's go to 50 years ago. So that was 70 years ago. Everybody stayed at home. 50 years ago, we started to get a whole lot more old people because population booms, right? So a whole lot more old people. And because of medical interventions, people started sticking around a little bit longer. So instead of the life expectancy being late 60s, early 70s, now we're mid 70s. So, you know, we're okay. We got all these old people. They're not dying. Somebody's got to take care of them. And women were starting to enter the workforce. So now we don't have mom at home anymore. So we just kind of made it work, right? We relied on community. Home health became a big thing, right? We'd have caregivers come into the home, right? But we didn't require certification at all. So the people that worked in the nursing home, they were just people that worked at the nursing home. We didn't call them anything. There wasn't a certification process. They were just people that worked at the nursing home. Good? Make sense? Okay. So 50 years ago, home health starts to become a thing. We got to bring in some outside people. They're still at home, but we're bringing in some outside people to help because mom is now working. Make sense? Good? Okay. If you've got somebody in your home, you probably want to make sure that they're somewhat ethical, right? They're around your money, they're around your belongings, they're around your grandma, and they're not being supervised. So we got to have some sort of a process here. So they started thinking about things like certification. And in the meantime, we got more people going into nursing homes, and there was only one nurse per nursing home and a lot of workers. So they started to think about certification. So about 40 years ago, it's about right, 87, 40-ish years ago, they came up with a test for CNAs. And it only applied to people that worked in the nursing home. That's our sickest old people. And in home care, because you're around grandma and her candlesticks, right? So the CNA certification only covers those two industries. That's it. Even now, CNA, that term, you only have to be a CNA if you're going to work in home care around grandma and her candlesticks, unsupervised, or if you're going to work in a nursing home, which is our oldest and sickest. Make sense? If you're going to do these skills anywhere else, you don't have to be a CNA. Don't have to. You can work at a hospital, not be a CNA. You can work in mental health, not be a CNA. You can work at the doctor's office, not be a CNA. You do not have to be a CNA to work in any other setting. But these other settings don't want to train you. They don't want to hire you off the street and have to train you. That takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and they just want to. So if they advertise for CNAs, they get people that are already trained. It doesn't mean that you need that certification to work there. It just means that if you come as a CNA, we don't have to train you. Make sense? So legally speaking, I'm just talking legally speaking, the only two places that you have to be a CNA to work is home care or nursing homes. Everywhere else, you don't have to be a CNA. But we can't call you a CNA unless you're certified. So this is where, in the last 20 years, we get terms like PCT, PCA, nurse tech, DSP. It's called alphabet soup for a reason. I can put any three letters together that I want to, and there's no regulation. There's no oversight. I can call you a polka dotted hippopotamus if I want to. Doesn't matter. It means absolutely nothing because they're not regulated at the state level or the federal level. Good? Make sense? Now, this all happened 20 to 25 years ago. They said, well, we can't call you a CNA, so we're going to make up another term. But in the meantime, 20 to 25 years ago, the timeline matters here, guys. The timeline matters. We started getting all of those baby boomers that were born in the 1940s and early 50s after the war. Okay, think about time, right? They're now into retirement. So we got a ton of people all of a sudden, baby boom, that are now needing services. And they need services in so many places: home care, assisted living, nursing homes, mental health facilities, right? We've stuffed old people everywhere. I mean, literally, we stuff them everywhere. We do not have a shortage of old people. So if we can't call you a CNA, we're going to call you something else. Pick a couple of letters. I don't care what they are. We're going to call you that because you're not certified. That doesn't mean that all of those people, the alphabet soup people, don't do the same job. It's just that they don't have to be certified legally. Does that make sense? So you're going to see a lot of opportunities like rehab tech. And you're going to think to yourself, well, I'm a CNA. I'm not qualified for that. Yes, you are. Dialysis tech. Well, I'm a CNA. I'm not a dialysis tech. I'm not qualified for that. Yes, you are. Yep, you are. Because they're not regulated. Make sense? Okay. Now, that's on the legal side of things. Now we have to talk about the corporate side of things because those are not the two, they're not the same. Legal and corporate, not the same. I am the president of my company here. I can decide what qualifications I want in my workers. So if I wanted someone to be over here running the tech, if I wanted a Jake, okay, I could decide as the president of my company that I want Jake to have a master's in web development. I have the right to do that. I am the president of my company. I get to decide what qualifications my employees have to have. Now, if Jake doesn't have a master's in and he doesn't, and I have a hard time finding somebody with a master's in web development that'll work for the peanuts that I pay Jake, then I'm probably going to have to lower my standards a little bit because I can't find anybody with the qualifications I want for that position that's willing to work for what I pay them. Make sense? Okay. So you've got corporate and you've got legal, and the two are not the same. You have to understand this because you will scroll right by a ton of opportunities that you are eligible for if you don't understand that. CNA just means certified. You took the test. That's all it means. The only two places you have to be certified is in a nursing home or home care. That's it. Everywhere else, all the other opportunities that we have, you don't have to be certified for. It may be in the job description, but that means that they don't want to train you. They want you pre-trained. Doesn't mean you're not qualified for that position. Good? Make sense? So here's one that most people are really surprised about. And this one just makes me kind of half crazy. How many of you guys want to be phlebotomists? How many of you think that phlebotomy would be a good next step? Anybody? Oh, that's unusual. Usually about half the class wants to be phlebotomists. There is no educational requirement for phlebotomy. You could go to work and they will train you to be a phlebotomist. You can go to work at the blood bank, you know, the blood bus. They will train you to be a phlebotomist. You go work at the hospital, they will train you to be there is no educational requirement. And yet tons and tons of people will sign up for a phlebotomy program thinking they have to take one and spend thousands. There was a school in our community that was charging $20,000 for a phlebotomy program. They made it 14 months for an on-the-job training modality. Why do you think they did that? Any ideas? Money. Greed. Absolutely. You have to know the legalities of this, guys, or you're going to be taken for a ton of money. Make sense? Be careful out there. And a lot of you will fall for this. You'll start working, you'll think, oh, I want to add another certification in to make myself more valuable. And you'll go take a course somewhere and pay them lots of money to teach you a skill that you don't even need. Your first question is, does my employer need this for me to have this skill? And if the employer needs me to have this skill, chances are they're going to teach you the skill. You don't have to pay somebody else. Good? Good. But yes, I'm always available. Send me an email. May take me a couple days to get back to you, but send me an email. All right, but it's important that you understand how this is situated, because right now the landscape is so confusing for CNAs that they will only look for CNA openings. That's all I'm looking for is something CNA. It limits you. There's a lot of really cool opportunities out there for you that you'll absolutely miss if you don't understand that. Okay, good?
Yes.
Good. All right. So let's talk about these others. Go ahead, Jake. All of these others, other than USA Jobs, we talked about that one. All of these others cost money. And job seekers don't understand this because you're not the one that has to pay the money. The employer does. So in healthcare, we are chronically understaffed. We always have CNA openings. Every facility has a CNA opening all the time. We are never fully staffed. We're about 1 million CNAs short nationwide, which is kind of ironic because we have over 1 million CNAs. If all of them would just find a friend and bring them into the industry, we could get rid of our shortage. So recruit. But a lot of this is up to you. And I'm going to get on a soapbox here for a second because this is important. If you are constantly bad-mouthing your role, if you are the one going home and telling everybody, I hate being a CNA, all I do is wipe butts and the people are mean and I hate my coworkers and I hate where I work, and you're constantly bad-mouthing your job, do you think you're going to talk anybody into being a CNA?
No.
So the reason that you don't like your job most likely is the fact that you are short-staffed and you have way too much to do and not enough time to do it. So if you are complaining about the fact that you have way too much to do and not enough time to do it, and you talk everybody else out of being a CNA, you will always have way too much to do and not enough time to do it because you are scaring off your potential helpers. Does that make sense? You should be going to everybody, oh my gosh, I love my job. You would make a great CNA. Look at you. You're so caring, so empathetic. I think you would be fantastic as a CNA. You should consider that. If everybody did that to just one other person, we would be fully staffed. You have the ability. And guys, training only takes 4 weeks. You have the ability to turn this around within a very short amount of time. But most CNAs would just rather complain because it gets them attention. You guys see that?
Yes.
Be careful about the way you represent your industry. You're never going to get help if you scare it all away. Okay? So we always have openings. We always have openings. Always have openings. If every single one of those job boards charges me money to advertise those openings, you can see it's not going to take long before I have no more money to pay employees. Because if I want to post a job opening on Indeed and Career Builder and Monster and iHire, it's going to cost me several $100s a week. And I'm not getting anything for that. I'm not getting a worker. I'm getting a whole bunch of applications. That's it. And I got to weed through those applications. That's a whole lot of money for me to spend all the time. Because remember, I always have openings. So you're not going to see all of the opportunities in a community on these jobs boards. You're not. So if you go on to Monster right now in our area, you might only see 2 or 3 CNA openings. That does not mean there's only 2 or 3 CNA openings in our community. It means that nobody else is advertising on that platform. You got to look a little further. Good? This should not be your first stop. You can work it in there as a strategy, but it should not be your first stop. And yet this is what we mostly go to as our first stop, not understanding the limitations there. Go ahead. So what should your first stop be? If we're not going to use jobs boards as our first stop, what should our first stop be? Go ahead. This. Once you take your quiz and you figure out where the right workplace for you to work is, you should go to those workplaces in your community. So let's say that you took the quiz and it said rehab. That's a good place for you as a rehab. Well, we have a rehab right up here on 50. Dedicated rehab hospital. I'm not going to say names. Right on 50. I would go directly to their website and look for CNA openings, but not just CNA. I'm going to look for nurse tech, rehab tech, PST, PCT, alphabet soup, right? Not just CNA, because every department manager is going to have a different name for what you do. But if you go directly to their website, it doesn't cost them anything to advertise on their own website. So this is where you're going to see the most comprehensive listing of all opportunities in your community. But that's not the only rehab, because almost all of our nursing homes have rehab sections in their nursing homes. So you would go look at those as well. Make a list of all of the rehabs in your area and go onto their websites and look direct. Now, this takes a little more work on your part. I'm going to tell you how I've shortcut this for you. I've made this way easier, but I need you to understand the method here, Okay, go ahead. Go directly to their website and apply. Go ahead. Now, if you go to my website, we were just here a few minutes ago and we watched that CNA Renewal video, right? Just above the CNA Renewal video in that menu says local employers. This is for my Hernando County people only. If you click on that, go ahead, Jake. It'll bring you to this page. I have listed all the hospitals in our geographic area, and not just listed them. If you click on the name, it takes you to their website, the careers tab on their website. And in most cases, I have put in PCT and CNA and all the terms used. So it will pull up all of the openings that you qualify for just by clicking that link. I did it for hospitals, for nursing homes, for rehabs, for home care, for pediatrics. It's all there on that page for you. All the work has been done. All you got to do is click on it. But it does help if you know what modality, what setting you need to concentrate your efforts on. So just above that is that workplace quiz, a link to it. Okay. So I've done the work for you, but there is still a little bit that you're going to have to do here. Go ahead. This works well, but it shouldn't be your only avenue. Because when you apply online, it goes to a third-party human resources company. It doesn't even go to the hospital, by the way. If you are applying to the hospital down the road, when you apply online, it doesn't go to the hospital. It goes to a human resources company. I think it's in St. Pete, actually. Not to the hospital. Now, that human resources company, their job is to look at the job description. This is what the nurse manager wants. They look at your application. If it doesn't match word for word, your application gets tossed. You don't get notified. You just won't hear anything. So when you're applying online, there's two things you need to remember. Number one, your application has to match that job description. Exactly. If the job description says BLS required, don't put on your application that you're CPR certified. Even though it means the same thing, the filters at the human resources company, they don't care about CPR. CPR is for community. BLS is for healthcare workers. If you put you've got CPR, that means you took a community class. That doesn't count here. We need BLS. It'll toss your application. So what do you think should be on the application? BLS. Do you see how that works? Make sure your application and your job description match exactly. What a lot of people do, and I highly recommend this, if you have access to a chat GPT, copy the job description, put it in, and ask GPT to create your resume. Great option. Does all the work for you. And it makes sure your resume matches the job description exactly. You got to give it some information though, right? You got to let it know who you are. So you got to spend some time getting to know it a little bit for it to make a good resume for you. But there's free chat GPTs out there for you to use. The second thing that you need to know, okay, so the first is make sure your job description and application match exactly. The second thing that you need to know about this is that when it goes to the human resources, they don't know you. They don't see you. They don't interact with you. There's no personal component to this. You are literally a name in a system and they could care less. So we want to try to find a way to make this more personal. You can't really walk into a facility now and shake somebody's hand and let them put a face with a name. It's really hard to do that anymore. So how do we get personal? Well, what I recommend, go ahead, Jake, is, we're going to come back here. No, back. One more. Here. Social media. On social media, every facility now has a social media presence, every one. So if you're looking to work at Rehab Hospital ABC, go find them on social media. They probably have a Facebook and an Instagram account, maybe even a Snapchat. I'm not a big Snapchat person, but maybe. But you need to start interacting with them on that platform. 2 reasons. Number 1, now you're a person, not a name. Number 2, they can quickly click over by clicking your profile and get a sense of who you are. So make sure that your profiles are nice and clean before you do this. But I recommend social media to try to find opportunities because it lets them put a face with the name. It makes it more personal. Does that make sense? You should also keep an eye out in your community for job fairs, for meet and greets, for open interviews, that type of thing. One of our hospitals, not the one right here, but the one further toward the next town over, one of our hospitals. Oh, you're fine. You're listening. One of our hospitals holds an open interview once a month, usually at like Marker 48 Brewing or Smoke and Oak Pizza, where you can actually go, shake hands, face with name, and they will take you, have an opportunity to kind of do an informal interview, get to know you on a personal level, and it can help improve your chances of getting hired. Okay, good. Makes sense? Jake, go back one for me. So another thing that you can do, and I do recommend this as well, after you've done everything I've already talked to you about. Because remember I said that there's sometimes positions that you'll miss because you don't know what term they're using, right? So if you go into Uncle Google and you just type in the search bar, CNA jobs near me, but you could also put in PCT jobs near me, nurse tech jobs near me, rehab tech jobs near me. Just, kind of figure out what terms you want to search for. And because Google crawls every single website, Google might actually come up with a position or two that you didn't even know existed because you didn't know that that facility existed or that opportunity was out there for you. So I actually had a student that did this not too long ago and ended up with a really cool opportunity that she would never have gone out and looked at by herself. And she's like, man, am I glad I did that because I never would have looked this up. It just showed up. I applied. I got the job. It was amazing. So this might be, especially for those of you that are a little bit more adventurous, this might open up some opportunities that you never really even thought of. So here's one that a lot of people don't know about. The Department of Homeland Security hires CNAs. They have opportunities for CNAs. Now, this was about 2 months ago that I found that one. Never would have considered that. Wouldn't have come up on my radar at all. Right? There was another one, another government agency. I can't remember. It wasn't the FBI, but it was a high government agency. And I never would have considered them needing CNAs. I mean, it wouldn't have. But for some reason, it was there. So you can use Google as more of a wider net. Once you've narrowed in and you've exhausted those options, cast a little wider net with Uncle Google. Okay. All right. Go ahead. One more. All right, but this is probably my favorite. All of that aside, I bring this one up last because it really is my favorite. Every one of you knows someone who works in healthcare. It is the predominant industry in our county. Everybody knows someone that works in healthcare, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's your best friend's mom, whether it's a family member of yours, you know someone who works in healthcare. And if you go to that person and you say, hey, I just finished my class, I'm getting ready to test, I'm looking for opportunities. Do you like where you work and are they hiring? Now, this is my favorite for a couple of reasons. Number one, again, it's that personal touch, right? You don't just want to be a name in a computer somewhere. This is somebody recommending you. It'll help you get the job. But number two, there's usually money in it for both people. Go ahead. So if, let's say that I work at a nursing home and you come to me and you tell me, hey, I want to work, wherever you work, and I recommend you. Now you go to the interview, you get hired, that facility is going to pay me money for bringing you in. And after a couple of months, once you stay, you're going to get some money out of it too. Now, the reason for this is the facility would much rather spend money on their employees than those job boards. But there's another reason here that's a little bit darker. Healthcare is a predominantly female-driven industry. Okay, caregiving, female-driven industry. Not to say that males don't belong, it's just predominantly, bedside care is predominantly done by females. Females are territorial and often cliquish and catty. That's just the way it is, okay? So if I'm trying to build a good cohesive workforce that works well together and gets along, because I don't want workplace conflicts. I want people that get along. It's much better for me to bring somebody in that I already get along with, that I already like. So it helps build a stronger workforce when you rely on referrals. Does that make sense? Okay. So I like this option. This to me is my favorite option. But the other ones will probably get you a little further because you don't know that many people. Okay. Good. Do you guys now have a little bit better understanding of how getting a job in healthcare is different from other industries? It's not as simple as just, go on to Indeed and try to find a job. All right, go ahead. All right, you can also visit facilities in person. That's not really working much anymore. They don't want to see us. It interrupts their workflow. Job fairs, community events, trade magazines, those are all options, but go directly to the websites, social media, coordinate with other employees. Those are your best bets. Go ahead. All right. We talked about this. Make sure your application matches the job description exactly. CPR is not BLS. It's the same actions. CPR, you push hard on the chest, hard and fast. BLS, you push hard and fast. What's different is that CPR is made for community bystanders, people that just pull a kid out of a pool or see a car accident. It's just for, we hope you do it right, but if you don't, you don't. BLS, you're now being paid to do that job. This is part of your job. And if I'm paying you to do CPR, I expect a little bit higher level of performance. You guys understand that? Yes. You don't clock out to do CPR. You're on the clock, which means you're being paid to do the job, which means I need a higher level of performance. That's what makes BLS different. So if you come in with a CPR card, I know that you probably don't even care. It is what it is. But if you come in with a BLS card, I know that you understand this is a job requirement. Okay. Go back one more. This is important. If you go into Hospital ABC online, you look up their CNA positions and you see 4 of them. If you only apply to one, it is only going to be considered for that position. They don't share applications. So if there's a position for 2 North, 3 South, and 4 West, you have to apply to 2 North, 3 South, and 4 West in order to be considered. Apply to all positions listed. And if you don't hear anything back within a week or 10 days, apply again. If you don't hear anything back, apply again. Be persistent, because your first application may not have gone through, or the second application may not have gone through. But for some reason, when the system sees your name over and over and over again, it tends to push the applications through. I don't know why. I have no idea. But the people that get on at the hospital, they, generally speaking, takes 3 to 4 applications before they get an interview. This is why I said it can take months to even get to an interview at the hospital, because you got to keep applying. Now, one of my previous students who took my class, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, they are now a nurse manager up at the hospital up the road. And she contacted me not too long ago. And she said, you know, you got to start sending us some of your students. We are so short staffed, and it's like, you know, we're not getting any applications. So can you send me some students? And I said, what do you mean you're not getting any applications? She said, it's like nobody's applying. Are you telling the students? And I said, well, of course I'm telling the students, but you need to check with your human resources department, because I guarantee you getting applications, they're just not going through. So the filters are set a little too strict. They're not letting people through. So apply often, guys. Okay, good. You know, I really wish we could go back to the old-fashioned way, where you walked in and you filled out a paper, because then you'd know that it actually went to the people that you need it to get to. Now with all this electronic stuff, it's like, you know, lighting a balloon on fire and sending it out into the atmosphere and hoping that it lands where it's supposed to land. And I don't think it is in a lot of cases. Okay. All right, good. Go ahead. All right, so we have found an opportunity. We have applied for the job, and we were persistent, and we finally got our interview. So what do we do now? Well, there's a couple of things we're going to have to do to make a good impression, because we want to make sure that whoever we're applying with likes us enough to hire us. That's the whole goal here. So how do we do that? Well, let's talk first things first. You want to make sure that you arrive early for an interview, not Tuesday early. You want to get there about 10 to 15 minutes early. You are planning on being at this place, this work setting, for over half of the hours that you are awake every week. You are going to spend more time at work than you do with your family. That's reality. You don't want to pick a place that you're going to be absolutely miserable at. You're saying that you're going to be there a lot. So when you go in early for an interview, you are there to interview them as much as they are there to interview you. You should be looking at how the staff members treat each other. How do they talk to each other? How long are those call lights going off before somebody addresses them? What does the facility smell like? You can tell a lot by how well the patients are cared for, by noticing how the facility looks and smells. How welcoming was the receptionist? I'm telling you, places with bad culture, you will find out by the receptionist. If the receptionist is rude and cold and aloof when you were there for an interview, that is not a place you want to work, because that shows you the character of your administration team. If the receptionist says, "Oh, hi, I'm so glad you're here for the interview. Go ahead and have a seat. I'll let them know that you're here. Somebody be right with you." That is a good interaction. Oh, yeah. Just go over there and have a seat. I'll tell them you're here. That is not a place you want to work. You are there to interview them as much as they are there to interview you. Good? Makes sense? Guys, you are agreeing to be at this place. It's not enough, "I just need a job. Anybody please take me." No. You are going to be in demand. You are going to get multiple offers. You've got to have a way of figuring out which one you're going to take. And the highest money is not always the best fit for you.
So another thing is interview, we have to dress appropriately.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, so appropriately and then first impression, like you have to stay up straight. You cannot be in like unrequested because they're thinking like you're not interested for their job, no slouching, you gotta stay up straight. And
Right.
you have to take your notes with you so you can write the notes, and the interviewer says, and you bring your cover letters, not just the resume.
Right. We're going to go over all of that in just a second. Yep. All right. Everybody understand why you're there early?
Yeah.
All right. You want to dress to impress. Scrubs are appropriate for entry-level healthcare interviews. Dress for the job you intend to get. It's an old saying. So CNAs wear scrubs. That's the job we intend to get. So wearing scrubs is appropriate. If you don't have scrubs, perfectly okay to wear business professional. That's fine too. But there's something to them being able to visualize you in that position. If you go in a nice dress and heels and hair done and makeup on and you look great, I'm going to have a hard time seeing you as a CNA. I might be more interested in hiring you as a receptionist. So we have to think about the image that we're giving. Now, if you don't have scrubs, it's not a problem. Go ahead and wear business professional. But scrubs are appropriate for entry level. But your scrubs need to be neat, clean, and pressed. You don't know your way around an iron, you probably need to have them done by the dry cleaner. Okay, they need to look good. Don't just take them out of the dryer and shake them out and throw them on. Okay, nice. If you have visible tattoos, you probably should have them covered before you find out what their tattoo policy is. As an employer, they have the right to dictate how they want their employees to represent their image. There's nothing discriminatory about that. That is their right as an employer. Well, most places don't care. But you need to find out before you go exposing your tattoos. So wear a long sleeve shirt under your scrubs or a jacket over until you find out what their policy is. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So in our area, we don't have so the biggest one are religious hospitals. Over in other areas of the state, we have a very large Baptist hospital group and we have a very large Seventh-day Adventist hospital group. Both of those have no visible tattoo policies. So that would probably not be on your list of places to apply, right? Because your culture doesn't really coincide with their culture, and we want to make sure the cultures match up. Does that make sense? Okay. So you can't force a company to change their culture based on you. It doesn't work. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. we had a young man that took the class, this is probably 12, 13 years ago now, and he had in Old English letters, and I'll never forget him, across his neck, I mean, the whole thing all the way across was FTW in this really pretty ornate script, right? And I told him, I said, you're probably going to have a hard time getting, you know, a job in mainstream healthcare with that. And he says, well, why? I said, well, you know, first of all, it's a very, very visible tattoo. It's going to be hard to cover. But second of all, even if places have a visible tattoo policy, they won't allow profanity. He says, well, what do you think this means? I said, well, I know what it means. He says, well, it means for the win. And I said, you're not going to be able to get that to fly. That's not what that means. And nurse managers know that. So when you're making your tattoo decisions moving forward, remember that what you choose to make visible can affect your career options. Okay. I'm not anti-tattoo, but I definitely think that you need to be aware of the limitations it imposes on you when you're making your decisions. Okay, good. All right. So we're going to dress in business casual or scrubs. Just make sure that it's neat. Go ahead. And we're going to take a packet with us. Now that packet needs to have a resume on top. If you don't have a resume, you guys can all go to CareerSource and get a resume made. They do free resumes for you at CareerSource. There's also a million programs online that'll make you a good resume. You should have a certificate of completion for anything that you've done, like your in-services, or if you have any certificates or anything like that. You should have your CPR and first aid card, copies of it in there. And if it's going to be home care job, you should have a copy of your driver's license and car insurance. But you want to take that whole packet with you. Now, this is why you want to take a packet. This isn't from me, guys. This is from the hiring managers out there. They're the ones that told me to tell you to do this. Because when they interview, they usually set up all their interviews for one day, which means that they're probably interviewing 6 or 8 candidates in a single day. You're not going to stand out. You're brand new to the industry. You're just not going to stand out. You don't have enough experience or enough charisma to really stand out of the crowd. Not to say that you're not all great applicants, you are. But we got to have a way of making you memorable. So at the end of the day, when that interviewer is getting ready to go home, they're going to clean up their desk. And as they do, they're going to find your packet and they're going to flip through it. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, Ashley, I remember Ashley. She interviewed well. Oh, okay. Where I didn't remember Ashley 5 minutes ago because she faded into the group. Now I remember Ashley because she's right here. I'll think about Ashley a little bit more. You can't get hired if you're not remembered. So the more you can get back in front of that interviewer, the better your opportunity of getting hired. Now, if you really want to seal the deal, you will send them a thank you note after. Now, when I go for an interview, every interview I've ever gone for, I've gotten. Because I follow these tips. I make sure that I arrive early, which is really hard for me, guys. I present myself professionally. I stand up straight. I make eye contact. I look like I'm happy to be there. I shake hands firmly. I give complete answers. I don't talk over the interviewer. I wait for them to complete their thought or question, and I answer it completely. But I'm not long-winded. I give them the information that they're looking for, short and sweet, but complete. I give a packet with all of my details. And then After I leave the interview, I go out to my car. My interview is not over. I go out to my car, and inside my car on the seat is a thank you note that's already been written out. Thank you for the opportunity to interview for this position. Please let me know if you need any additional information. I look forward to hearing your response. Sincerely, my name. Now, at the top, I've got dear, and I left it blank. I did not fill that in. When I go out to my car, I write in the name of the person I just met with. I put it in the envelope that's already been addressed. And on that envelope, I put attention, the name of the person I just interviewed with. I go to the post office directly to the nearest post office, get a stamp, put it in the mail. It will show up on their desk tomorrow morning. As long as you go to the post office, it will show up on their desk the next morning. It's just like this. So they saw me, they have a packet, and they get this thank you card. Now, some people send thank you emails. Guys, right now, if Jake pulled up my email, please don't.
I'm not gonna.
I have over 1,800 emails in my email inbox. 1,800. I have to go through it today or tomorrow. Yeah. You really think I want one more email that I've got to address? Do you really think I want that? No. If you send an email after an interview, you are giving them more work. If you send a card, if I get a card in the mail, that's unusual. I don't get cards in the mail. I'm going to open that sucker up and I'm going to see, oh, okay. This is somebody that I interviewed yesterday. Who did I? Oh, wait. It's the same person. And they sent a card too? They must really want this job. If they're willing to work this hard to get the job, they might actually show up for the job. So you're going to get the job. Let me show you how well this works. This actually worked on me not too long ago. When I had the retail store, I put out a thing. I didn't advertise on jobs boards because I couldn't afford it, but I put a thing out on social media. I'm hiring, put some notes in the retail store. I'm hiring. And I had a couple people interview. Nobody I was really all that excited about. And I had this one young lady that came in and interviewed, and she was okay, but she was very, very timid, very timid. And I wanted to make sure that I had somebody that could like present our product a little bit better. Somebody who could, say, hey, we just got some stuff in that fits your body type perfectly. Can you try it on? Let me know what you think. Right? Somebody that took a little bit of initiative, and I just didn't think that was her. So I didn't give her the opportunity. I didn't offer her the job. But like 2 days later, she called. Hey, I was just wondering, did you make any decisions yet? And I was like, no, not yet. But nobody else really stood out. A day or two later, she came in and said, hey, I was just wondering, did you make a decision? And I'm thinking, if she's going to work this hard, she might actually show up. I hired her. Now, she wasn't the best employee. She was pretty reliable for the most part. She didn't perform stellar, but she performed, right? She was a solid hire. But she got the job not because I thought she was the best candidate. She got the job because she was there. I'm telling you, these strategies work. If you want the job, do the work. Make sense? Okay. One of the other things that's going to count in your interview is eye contact. This is big. It's bigger than you think it is. Remember that half of our job is observation and reporting? You guys remember that? If you can't make eye contact during an interview, which I know is stressful, interviews are stressful. They absolutely are stressful. Do you know what else is stressful? Working as a CNA. When you've got doctors that are yelling, when you've got patients that are upset, when you've got family members who are sad, healthcare is stressful. And if you can't get through an interview making eye contact, you are not going to look at the patients. You're not going to make observations. You're not going to be an asset to my team. So make sure you're making eye contact. It tells them a lot. Make sense? Body posture counts. Show a little pride, a little confidence. But you also, when you're there in the interview, you want to take notes. Everybody should have a little notebook in their pocket and a pen. Because at the end of the interview, if they decide to offer you the job, and a lot of times they will right there on the spot, they'll say, okay, I'm really interested in hiring you, but Rain, I need a little bit more information because you didn't bring a packet. So can you bring to me these items? Right? Well, you're going to want to write down everything that they need. But even more importantly, if you get the job, this is what happens. Oh, Olivia, I want to offer you the position. Olivia, right? What? Sheila, I'm sorry. Sheila, yeah, Olivia. Yeah, Sheila, I want to offer you the position, but I need you to come in on Monday. You're going to be in the medical office building across the street, second floor, room 313. You're going to be meeting with Olivia, and she's going to go through orientation with you. You can just wear comfortable clothing. You'll be there for 3 days. And then after 3 days, I'm going to put you with Amelia, and you're going to shadow her. You're going to be on the second floor. You're going to be working 3 to 11 because I want you to be with Amelia. She's our best preceptor. And you'll work with her for 3 days. And then I'm going to put you on your shift, which is 7 to 3, and you'll be working with Becky. Okay. Our outfits here are red scrubs. So you'll need to make sure you have that by the time you get onto the floor. Okay. Do you remember all that? What room? What room are you going to? Yeah, so there's little details there you guys missed, isn't there?
Yes.
There's a lot of information all at once. That's why you need to take a notebook. Second floor, room 313, meeting with Olivia. Then I'm going to be with Amelia. Then I'm going to be with Becky. Right? I got to write all of that down so that I know. But here's the real reason that you have that notebook. I can't tell you that all of your employers are going to be ethical. I wish I could, but they're not. They're not. This is not a contract. I need you to understand that, but it's better than nothing. So during the interview, if they say, okay, we'd like to start you out at about $20 an hour here. And then after 6 months, you'll go up to $21.50 or, whatever their pay scale is. I don't know what they're going to offer you, but you want to write that down in your notebook. You're not going to have them sign it. It's not a contract, but you want to write that down. Okay, $20 to start, $21.50 in 6 months. Because when you get into orientation and you get your job description, your employment contracts, all of that, if your contract, if your job description does not say $20 an hour, and you say, excuse me, the interviewer told me I was making $20 an hour. This is telling me, $17.50. What's going on? That person that's doing orientation was not in the interview. They have no idea what you're talking about. And it's your word against theirs. So if you can pull out your notebook and you say, okay, well, but when I met with Sandra, this is what she offered me, $20 an hour. Now that orientation person will go back to Sandra and say, hey, she's got a note from the interview, $20 an hour, what's going on? And that pay discrepancy can be addressed. If you don't have anything, if you have no notes, they're not going to do anything about it. Now you've got to make a decision whether you want to work for $17.50 or not. Make sense?
Yes.
You want to write it down. It's not a contract. It is not legally binding, but it gives you that leverage you need to be able to dispute it. That actually happened to one of my students not too long ago. They were told one thing in orientation or in the interview. They went to orientation and it was like a $5 decrease. Yep. Unfortunately, it happens. Some of it could just be the day got busy and the woman didn't write it down. Could be completely innocent. But there's also some facilities that will absolutely take advantage of you. They will get you in the door, hoping you don't notice. Okay, good. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. So you want to make a good impression, shake hands, stand up straight, be polite, all of those things, right?
Due to COVID, lots of facilities won't shake your hands anymore.
That's very true.
Unfortunately, I've gone on a bunch of interviews and they're like, we'll do an elbow or
Yep.
a wave, but they will not physically shake your hand.
And that's okay. We're going to go by whatever their corporate culture is, and that's fine. And you can ask, you know, I would probably just kind of wait to see what they do. You know, fist bump, elbow bang. What are we doing here? Right. I use a lot of humor. Humor can help kind of diffuse some tension. Okay. But follow their lead. Okay. Go ahead. All right. So we talked a little bit about this. Eye contact, answer questions, ask questions. So in your book, on page 176, there are some questions there that you can take to your interview. These are questions you really need to know the answers to. And unfortunately, being brand new to the industry, you don't know what to ask at this point. So here's some questions. Remember that notebook you're going to take in with you in your pocket, that little notebook? Yeah, you should write these questions down in that notebook and have them with you. As you go through the interview, they're probably going to cover some of these. Whatever they don't cover, you probably need to ask. Okay, good. One of the questions that I definitely would ask as a CNA is, do you offer in-services? Remember, we need those in-services to be able to renew. If you are working at a place that does the in-services as part of your work environment, then renewal becomes pretty easy, right? You don't have to do anything extra. So do you offer in-services? That is a question I would absolutely ask, and your interviewer probably is not going to cover it unless you ask. Now, asking no questions makes you look uninterested and uninformed. That's not the impression you want to leave them with. So you need to have one or two questions to ask. Good? Now, eventually, hopefully by the end of the year, I'm hoping to get my act together. Hopefully by the end of the year, we will have in-services on our website. And my in-services are a little bit different than the way other people do online in-services because they're more engaging. They're actually going to be live, and just like we do this, right, with the conversations. And then if you can't catch it live, you can watch the replay and answer questions for credit. So it'll be a little bit more interactive and a little bit more lively than just reading some words on a computer screen. So I'm trying to get my act together. I've got a lot of big projects going on right now. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed that by the end of the year, we can get that ball rolling. All right, go ahead. Okay, Jacob, could you please pass out 8? Yep, thank you. So those of you that are joining us virtually, if you go to flcnatraining.com, scroll all the way down the page, look for Class 8 replay. Right next to it is a button that says Class 8 review sheet. Go get that so we can go over it together. All right, so Class 8 review sheet. If you turn it over, at some point during your interview, you are going to get the question, tell me a little bit about yourself. and you will all freeze because that's what we do when somebody asks you that question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Yeah, exactly that right there. That's what you get. Ah. You've got to have an answer for this. You have to have an answer for this. This is your opportunity to explain to them why you are there, why they should hire you, and what makes you the best choice. This is your microphone minute. But what they don't want to hear is something like, well, I was born in Virginia and mama and daddy got divorced and I moved in with Grammy down in Florida and I graduated high school and didn't do much. And then I decided that I needed to get a job and now I'm here. What does that tell them about you?
No, you're not interesting. Yeah, you don't care.
You don't care. Yeah. So we've got to do something a little bit better than that. They aren't interested in your personal history. When they ask this question, what they're asking is, why are you sitting in that chair wasting my time? That is the question you are trying to answer. Why are you sitting in that chair wasting my time at this minute? So we've got to have a good answer for this. And I actually have a formula you can follow that will give you an awesome answer to this. So my answer would be this, okay? If somebody asked me, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now remember, this is me personally, okay? Well, I'm an RN. I've been an RN for 35 years. I've worked in a variety of settings, but about 20 years ago, I decided to embark on becoming a subject matter expert in prometric testing. And I developed a CNA program. It's being used by schools all over the country. I believe that this program would be an asset for your organization because it takes entry-level healthcare workers and elevates them, their skill set and their mindset to provide 5-star patient care processes. Now, if you were interviewing me, which one of those would you want to hear? I was born in Virginia,
The second one.
or why I'm here.
What you feel.
We're going to do that for each one of you. Okay? So go ahead, Jake. So this is what we're going to get from you. This is what we need from you. We need to know what your past job roles were. What are you coming out of? Were you a server? Were you a lifeguard at the park? Were you a truck driver? Were you a customer service agent? I mean, what kind of jobs have you had in the past? And in those roles, what kind of soft skills did you develop? We're going to go over soft skills in a minute. Then I need to know why you're here. What made you decide to take a CNA class? Are you here because you're looking for something with an opportunity for advancement? Are you already involved in patient care in some manner, but you want to get certified to open up new job opportunities? Are you here because mom kicked you off her couch and said, go do something? I mean, what brought you to class, right? So you have to kind of have your why. And then we want 3 positive personality traits. What makes you you? What makes you someone I should be interested in hiring? Good. So those are the things that we're going to look at to create our tell me a little bit about yourself speech. So go ahead. So these are soft skills, right? These are skills that you developed somewhere along the line. Active listening, attention to detail, anticipating needs. Do I have any servers in here? Any servers? Okay. You have anticipating needs. That is one of your soft skills. Because if you walk by a table and you notice that the drink is half gone, what are you going to do?
Feel it.
Refill it, right? You have anticipating needs. That is a soft skill. Communication. Anybody work in customer service? Yeah, communication is one of your soft skills. Conflict management. If you work in customer service, you probably have that skill. Interpersonal skills, observation skills, professionalism. That would be one of mine. Professionalism. Now, I'm certainly not going to put time management on mine because time management does not go well with me. I roll in here 5 minutes before class starts, right? I am not good at punctuality and time, so I'm not going to claim it. I got 3 others on there. I have great attention to detail. I have excellent communication and professionalism. Those are my top 3 skills that I have developed. Good? So you got to go through this and try to figure out which 3 apply to you. And on the back of your Class 8 review sheet, you can see those. You want to circle the ones that apply to you. You want to circle the ones that apply to you. Some of you, optimism is going to be one of your strong skills. If you are happy and smiling all the time and very optimistic, believe it or not, we need that in a healthcare setting because we tend to get kind of drugged down with all of the doom and gloom that we see. So having happy, optimistic, upbeat caregivers is important. Dependability is a big one. Being able to work well with others, that's a big one. All right, go ahead, Jake. All right, now, why are you getting into healthcare? What brought you to this class? What is it about being a CNA that made you decide on this career option? Right? Is it the advancement opportunities? Is it more flexibility? Do you see a recession on the horizon and this is a recession-proof industry? I mean, what brought you here, right? What made you decide? What is your reason? And for everybody, this is going to be very individual. Some of you took care of family members and decided that this is a calling for you. So what made you decide to do this? And then, go ahead, Jake. We're going to pick 3 personality traits. What are 3 things that describe you? Are you flexible? Are you energetic? Are you positive, responsible, honest, passionate about the care I provide? That would be one of mine. I am passionate about what I do. You give me 3 minutes in the middle of Walmart and I'm going to tell you how passionate I am about what I do. I love my job. Love it. Can't imagine doing anything else. And that should have shown through to you through this program without me having to say it. Right? Good? Okay, go ahead, Jake. And then we're going to put all of that together. Yeah, one more. Okay, we've got to know our job role. As a previous server, I developed attention to detail, anticipating needs, and the ability to work well with others. But I really wanted a career that was more engaging, where I felt like I was making a difference. So I took a CNA class and I've got my certification. And now I believe I would be an asset to your company because I have great empathy, I'm dedicated, and I really work well in a team environment. Do you guys see how that statement can win you an interview?
Yes.
It's a formula. Anybody can use this for any industry. Good? Guys, that right there is worth the price of admission. All right, go ahead. So this is what your tell me a little bit about your speech should look like. Okay. My past experience has been in whatever your job role is, where I excelled in your 3 soft skills, but I really wanted a more rewarding career. Tell them why you took the class. So I became certified as a CNA. I'm now ready to begin my career in healthcare. And I believe I would be an asset to your company because I am 3 positive traits. I thank you for this opportunity to interview for this position. Good? The more prepared you are with your statement, the better you will be perceived. the more polished. This is why I always get the jobs I interview for. I'm prepared because most people aren't. Most people will give you that deer in the headlight look. When I was interviewing for the position at the retail store, it was just a retail store position. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a, it's a retail position. And I would ask people, so tell me a little bit about yourself. And I would get a blank stare. Well, what do you want to know? You just put all the work on me. I don't want to do the work here. So you've got to make sure that you've got a good, tell me a little bit about yourself prepared. Good? So let me explain to you why this is so important. I went to a conference a couple of years ago, and I was in the elevator with the head of a very large hospital group. This is not somebody I could ever get an appointment with by calling up on the phone and saying, I'd like to come speak to you about my program. I would not have gotten that time, but I'm trapped in an elevator with them. You know where they say it's an elevator pitch? I actually used it as a true elevator pitch between floors. I got a meeting. This can open up doors that you don't even know are closed right now. Always have your elevator pitch available to you. Good? All right, go ahead, Jake. All right, and then we talked about our thank you note. This is just how to write the thank you note. I've got this up on the screen for you so that later on you can copy this down. But it says, thank you for the opportunity to interview you today for the CNA position in your unit. I look forward to hearing from you. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any further questions. Sincerely, your name. And it should be handwritten. Okay, good. You can go get a whole pack of 10 thank you, just blank inside thank you cards at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Doesn't cost much. Go ahead. All right, so sometimes during this opportunity, you're going to be offered a PRN position. This is not on call. PRN means as needed. You're on a schedule. You tell them I can work Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and when they have a shift available on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, they're going to put you in it. But it's important to understand in healthcare, you are not going to get a full-time position right out of the gate, okay? First of all, if I hire you full-time, hey, Sean. Hey, you're fine. You're not going to get a full-time position because if you don't work out, if I don't like you, if I'm the nurse manager and I go to hire you, hey, Julie, if I go to hire you, right, and I don't like you, you're not treating my patients right, you're not integrating with the staff right, if it's just not a good fit, I have to go through so many hoops to get rid of you. We've got to do opportunity for improvement plans. We've got to do verbal reprimands. We've got to do written reprimands. We've got to do probation. I've got to do so many things to get rid of you that it's prohibitive, right? Where if I just hire you PRN and you don't work out, I just don't put you on the schedule. I didn't fire you. I don't have to go through all those hoops. I just don't need you this week or next week or the one after that or the one after that, right? It just naturally lets you go. So think of a PRN position as an extended paid interview, because if they like you, they're going to keep putting you on the schedule, and eventually you'll get that full-time position when it becomes open because you've proven yourself. Okay? Good? Good. Think of it as a great way to try the facility out. Go ahead. All right, so we're at the end of the program now. Just because you're leaving us doesn't mean we're leaving you. You still have the replays of all of these classes. They're available on 4YourCNA or FLCNAtraining.com. You still have the online course that all of you were enrolled in. and you all have access to. You have your review sheets. You have your spiral book. You have our skills videos on 4YourCNA.com. You've got a ton of review opportunities. You've got the practice test in your white book. How many of you guys took the practice test on page 191? Okay. Did anybody miss 5 or more? Anybody miss 5 or more? If you missed less than 5, you are ready for the state exam. Okay. I've never had a student in my class that missed less than 5 on the practice test that failed the written test. Never had that happen. Don't be the first. Okay. Don't be the first. I like being able to say that. So you've got a lot of opportunities to continue learning. And of course, you've got my email address. It's at the top of the, right over here. It's at the top of your syllabus. You always have my email address. It's on my website too. You can contact me through that. You still have access to us. But right now, you need to practice. That's really where you need to put your time and energy. And once you practice each skill once or twice, you'll have it down enough to be successful on the state exam. Good? Any questions? All right, Jake, go ahead. One more. We talked about that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I went to formatting here.
Oh,
There we go.
okay. Practice kit. They are available. Today is the last day to get them at the discounted price. After that, if you want to order a practice kit and you don't want to go through, the website's going to charge you shipping. If you want to come pick it up and save on shipping, just email one of us and we'll take care of it. Our office is around the corner, Jake's office. That's where you would go pick it up. It's over there. But the practice kit is available to you to have all the supplies you need to practice at home. Go ahead. Flashcards, card game, all of that is still available. Go ahead. Online course, yep. Game show will be on July 1st. Now, return the yellow book. That's what I was trying to get to. Go ahead and put your books up here. And those of you that are joining us online, we're going to go ahead and sign off. So thank you so much for joining this session. We do appreciate having you here. And our next session will start July 28th. I have a couple weeks off. I'm super excited to have some time off. We hope to see you during our next session. And remember, you can always join us for the game show on the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of July. So until next time, guys, happy caregiving. Bye.